On Friday, Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler released an open letter to President Donald Trump, full of all the hallmarks of liberal mental disease. Wheeler accused federal troops of arson and vandalism while telling President Trump to take his offer of law enforcement assistance and pound sand. Responding to Trump's acceptance speech at the Republican National Convention Thursday night, Wheeler wrote, "Dear President Trump, yet again, you said you offered to aid Portland by sending in federal law enforcement to our city. On behalf of the city of Portland, no thanks." Trump made a specific point of calling out the city of Portland for its now 93 nights in a row of destructive and violent riots, in an appeal to law and order, as a theme of his re-election campaign. In his open letter to Trump, Wheeler accuses federal law enforcement officials of doing what he himself has done. The psychological term for that is projection, and it's a hallmark of liberal narratives. For instance, there is no place for looting, arson, or vandalism in our city. There is no room here for racist violence or those who wish to bring their ideology of hate into our community. Those who commit criminal acts will be apprehended and prosecuted under the law. There's so much to unpack in just that one paragraph. Let's start with the looting, arson, and vandalism in Portland. That started long before Trump ordered federal law enforcement officers to protect federal property in downtown Portland as it was under nightly siege. And it continued for weeks after Trump agreed to withdraw the feds from Portland. Indeed, the destruction has expanded to other government buildings outside the downtown core of Portland, as well as the Portland Police Association building. Mayor Wheeler allows Portland to burn because in his opinion it had nothing to lose as for racist violence. Who's perpetrating that? Who is bringing an ideology of hate into our community? It's well known that a large number of the protesters, perhaps even a majority, are not from Portland. The laugh out loud line, of course, is when he says that Portland will apprehend and prosecute those who commit criminal acts. Wheeler may wish to consult with Multnomah County District Attorney Mike Schmidt on that one. Wheeler then goes on to repeat the debunked myth that federal law enforcement made the riots worse in Portland. He really doesn't have anything new to add here. All Wheeler can do at this point is take the opportunity to look like he's representing progressive Portland by standing up to the bad orange man. Progressive Portland erected all around City Hall, and in that, he reveals how deeply his re-election campaign is in trouble. He desperately flails about, day after day, trying to find a winning message to convince Portlanders not to fire him as mayor. Here's the whole letter, in case you want to see what true desperation looks like. August 28, 2020. Dear President Trump, yet again, you said you offered to aid Portland by sending in federal law enforcement to our city. On behalf of the city of Portland, no thanks. We don't need your politics of division and demagoguery. Portlanders are on to you. We have already seen your reckless disregard for human life in your bumbling response to the COVID pandemic, and we know you've reached the conclusion that images of violence or vandalism are your only ticket to re-election. There is no place for looting, arson, or vandalism in our city. There is no room here for racist violence or those who wish to bring their ideology of hate into our community. Those who commit criminal acts will be apprehended and prosecuted under the law. Tens of thousands of Portlanders have peacefully protested and marched for the noble cause of fixing our broken criminal justice system. They are part of the proud progressive tradition of Portlanders fighting for justice, from racial justice to economic justice to environmental justice. When you sent the Fed to Portland last month, you made the situation far worse. Your offer to repeat that disaster is a cynical attempt to stoke fear and distract us from the real work of our city. In Portland, we are focused on coming together as a community to solve the serious challenges we face due to systemic racism, a global pandemic and an economic recession. Stay away. Please, signed, Ted Wheeler, Mayor of Portland. In other cities, Trump derangement syndrome would not be the winning strategy it could be in Portland. It's just too bad Ted Wheeler has already painted himself into a corner and can no longer see the pathway to re-election. Jeff Reynolds is the author of the book, Behind the Curtain, Inside the Network of Progressive Billionaires and Their Campaign to Undermine Democracy, available at www.whoownsthedems.com. Jeff hosts a podcast at anchor.fm/behindthecurtain. Follow him on Twitter at ChargerJeff, and on Parler at RealJeffReynolds. Editor's note: want to support PJ Media so we can keep telling the truth about China and the virus they unleashed on the world? Join PJ Media VIP and use the promo code Wuhan to get 25% off your VIP membership. Antifa takes over Portland streets again as Mayor Wheeler goes MIA. Let's block ads. Why?
Show your love for him. Click the link in description. Thanks for watching.